Hi, I'm Jesus Christ, and today I want to talk about a very common but very little talked about and little understood symptom of depression and anxiety. And that affects a lot of my followers and a lot of people that are not my followers, but it doesn't really get discussed because it is so hard to understand and seems so completely irrational. It's recently come to be called the impossible task, and what it is when there's something that seems ridiculously easy to do, it just becomes impossible and you can't understand why, and it's hard to talk to somebody else about it because they don't understand why you wouldn't be able to do it either. It can be something as ridiculously easy as, taking 2 minutes to pay a bill, or fixing something around the house that needs to get done, throwing some garbage away that's been accumulating in the corner, checking your bank account, making an important phone call, or really easy things like that that aren't actually hard, but for some reason that you can't understand, there is something that is preventing you from doing it. And sometimes the not doing it will actually make things worse. Like some of my followers have anxiety or something restricting them from, say, checking their bank account. It's like they're like afraid to do it, and so they don't, and then they end up overdrafting themselves, and then beating themselves up because if they had only checked it, they would say, "Hey, I only have $8 in my account. I shouldn't make this purchase." But because they had this impossible task of checking their account was just holding them back, it ended up hurting them. One of the common things within impossible tasks is these are things that usually don't have someone else involved, someone else holding you accountable. If there was somebody there saying, "Hey, Billy, check your bank account before you make that purchase," and Billy's not going to be like, "No, I don't want to check my bank account. Yeah. No, Billy's probably going to check his bank account and say, "Hey, I only have $8. I'm not going to do it." But because there isn't that external accountability, it's just something you can't do. Or making a phone like, "Hey, you said you were going to call your mom back. You need to call your mom." When you have that external thing telling you to do it, then it's a lot easier to do it. But there's that self-motivation, the lack of self-motivation that comes with depression makes it so inconceivably difficult to do. This is where I want to come in to help you. In Luke 1:37, I told you that with God all things are possible. In Philippians, you can do all things through me who gives you strength. And so I want to help give you the strength to defeat the impossible tasks in your life. Okay, the first thing to do is identify what the impossible tasks are in your life. They can be something embarrassingly silly, or just so easy that you don't even want to admit that there's something that you can't do. But admit it to yourself and get a little notebook or a piece of paper and write it down. Say you're struggling with, you need to get your student loan business set up, but you've been dragging on, and it's going to go into collections and ruin your credit, but you can't bring yourself to do it. So write down with a pen. It's mightier than the sword, Student loans, something. So acknowledge it to yourself. So you know that you not doing this isn't because you're a shitty person or whatever, that you have a illness that is preventing you from doing this. It's not your fault, but you do have the responsibility to deal with it. If you have someone supportive in your life that you can say, "Hey, I'm having trouble doing this. It's an impossible task. I know it looks silly, but for me it's a serious thing." And tell them, "Hey, I'm struggling with doing this." And then schedule when you're going to do it. Say, if it's something you can do in 5 minutes or less, do it right now as soon as this video is over. Pause the video, do it. If it's you needed to call somebody back real quick, pause the video, make that phone call, and cross that off your list, and then find the next thing that's holding you back. With the person that you can tell, and if you don't have anyone to tell, you can tell me. Just say, "Dear Jesus, I am struggling with getting a cover for the outside water spigot so it doesn't freeze this winter. For some reason you can't go out in the garage and get it and put it on there. So ask me and I will give you strength." And to help give you strength, so I tell you to get a notebook, write it down. Write down outside water spigot. Schedule when you're going to do it. If you're at work right now or whatever, as soon as you get home, you are going to do it. And text your person that you live with and say, "Hey, as soon as I get home, I need to put the outside water spigot on." Or that cover thingy. Them little styrofoam shits that you put on so they don't freeze and flood your house in the winter. Tell that person and ask them to remind you, so you have that external accountability that can really help to overcome it. Now, course, not everybody has that, so you just have me to work through. And I want to give you more tools to help you deal with that. So once you have it scheduled, just plan for it. Plan it in your head what you're going to do. You're going to get home, take your jacket off or whatever, walk out to the garage, put your jacket back on, go out and put the little rubber band thingy on the whatever, or make that phone call. You're going to go, where are you going to go? You're going to sit down, get your phone out, call your mom back, do whatever it is that you have been unable to do, that there's been something doing. And once you do the first one, you will feel just like this very liberating feeling that there's this thing that was holding you back and you just couldn't do it. And now you can do it. I can give you the strength to defeat your impossible tasks. And if you don't do it, say you get home and you have these habits. We all have habits, and habits control a lot of what our behavior is. So if you have in the habit of when you get home, you get a beer, go outside, smoke a cigarette, you're going to have to work with, against, or around the habits that you formed. Setting aside time to complete your impossible task is a very important, very effective way to deal with this. So if you say as soon as you get home from work, you're going to set a 10-minute time period to deal with the impossible tasks that you have written down in your little notebook. When you get home, just take yourself up, pull out your little notebook and say, I have to pay my water bill. I haven't paid my water bill. It's 4 days late, and if I get to 10 days late, then they're going to cut it off, and I already have to pay a $25 fine. So in that 10-minute or however much time space you allot, you are going to sit down, get the paperwork out, make the phone calls, log on to whatever website, and take care of that shit that you were letting accumulate in your life, and it was actually starting to cause some detrimental things because there was shit that you needed to get done but you couldn't do for reasons that you couldn't understand. This is the beginning of understanding what's going on so you can deal with the problems that are holding you back. And if you don't do it, you get home and you get defeated by your negative habits, it's okay. There is tomorrow. You can ask somebody and say, hey, when I get home, remind me that I need to pay the water bill before I have a beer. Or you can pray to me that I will help you and give you guidance to do that. But the most important thing is scheduling time to do the things that you need to do and writing them down and making sure to do what you write down. Once you get in the habit of doing this, it becomes so much easier to break the cycle of not doing the stuff that you need to do. Once you get 10 minutes after work, or you can do it on your lunch break at work, or any particular time that you set aside for addressing the stuff that you know was holding you back for whatever weird reason. It's depression and anxiety. It's a mental disorder. It's not supposed to make sense. Once you start making sense of it, you can start breaking it down and taking that burden up off your shoulders. And take up that cross instead and follow me. Now, once you get through your first item or items on your list, there's going to be more. But do not fear, because you can do all things through me who gives you strength. And once you've learned how to deal with things that you feel are just so impossible to do, once you have a plan, it doesn't have to be exactly how I've laid it out, just you have a plan on how to deal with these things that are holding you back. The next thing that comes, and it just like, oh no, you can't do it, you need to take your dog to the vet or whatever, that is just for some stupid reason you can't do, and you're feeling it. How to deal with it already. One thing that one of my disciples does is he decided to give that little negative voice in his head a name. That, when you need to go to the gym because, you're depressed and exercise is a good healthy thing, but it's like, no, you're tired, you can go tomorrow. Decided to give that voice a name so you can address it and say no. While I don't condone dishonoring thy father and thy mother, the guy did have a little creative tactic. He named that voice that tells him he can't do what he needs to get done, he named that voice Dad. So whenever he wants to go to the gym, but then there's something in saying, no, don't go to the gym, he says, fuck you, Dad, I'm going to the gym. And it works for him. As I wrote the 10 Commandments, and that's kind of a big one of them, I encourage him not to dishonor his father and name it like Joshua, or, no, Joshua is cool. Give it some other name that I don't mind you disrespecting. Satan, call that voice Satan. Say, fuck you, Satan, I'm going to go to the gym. Yeah, that's how we'll do this one. And so when you feel that pressure, that voice telling you, or just that it's impossible, to say, Get thee behind me, Satan, you fuck right off. I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to pay the water bill, or I'm going to do what I need to do to get my life in order. The more that you do this, the more you'll develop strength and willpower. Willpower is actually it's strongest in the morning. So if you're a morning person, I highly recommend doing these things in the morning. And there's a thing called decision fatigue. And the more decisions you make throughout the day, it breaks down your willpower. And people with depression have much lower levels of it. So making decisions to do things like this are often a lot more difficult for people with depression and anxiety. So when you form habits, the habits make the decisions for you. Just like if you have the habit of brushing your teeth every morning and every night before you go to bed, you don't have to consciously think and drag yourself to brush your teeth. You do it out of habit. If you make habits that are positive habits that will help you take care of these impossible tasks and then develop more positive habits, they will make the decisions for you, so you will have these positive decisions already made. If you get up and you make your bed, 30 push-ups, some jumping jacks, sit-ups, however you exercise. That's what I do. I do 20 push-ups every morning after I make my bed. It's my waking up ritual. As you develop this willpower through cultivating these positive habits, you'll get more and more willpower. It's like a muscle. It gets tired throughout the day, but the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. And the stronger you get, the more strength you will have to fight the battles that will come ahead of you. And if you conquer whatever is holding you back today, there's going to be something tomorrow. There is going to be. If you have depression, this is a thing that you have. And whether it's major depressive episodes or high-functioning depression, you are going to have these things that just suppress you. What this is going to do, should you put it into practice, it's going to give you a little bit of strength to help fight it. You will be in a better position tomorrow. And if you do it again tomorrow, you'll be in a better position the next day and the day after that. And if you regularly do this, hey, who knows what you could end up doing? What do you want to do? Make a plan. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 1 year? How are you going to get there? Write down these plans on how you're going to do it, and identify what the impossible tasks are in your life that you need to get through to get to where you want to be. And start doing that. Develop that willpower. Develop positive habits. It can lift you up out of that depression. And of course, on a personal note, I, Jesus Christ, also have depression. I suffer from post-traumatic stress as a result of the crucifixion and the abandonment I felt, the flogging, public humiliation, not being able to save myself when I saved so many others. And it took me to a kind of a dark spot in my life for a while. I was in heavy drinking and just wasn't doing what I needed to do as a savior. And now I am trying to overcome that. I have been overcoming that, and I want to give to humanity the tools that I have been using as the Lord of Hosts to overcome my own personal depression. I am a man, though I am God. I'm also God's son, which is a human man. I feel pain, I cry, I weep, I get tired, I feel pain, I bleed, I die. I conquered death, though. That was a big thing. But as I am human, I do have a brain. Neuroplasticity is just as real in my brain as it is in yours. So I did suffer this severe psychological and physical trauma that did set me back quite a bit. And, well, I can say it wasn't my fault, though it was kind of my fault because I'm also God and God sent me to be crucified. I'm not in the self-blame for my trauma. I'm going to, radically accept that what happened, happened. I can't change the past, but I do have the responsibility to take care of my future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with the problems that it's created for me. I'm going to get to the root of the problem, which is the depression, and then beyond that, there's the post-traumatic stress that I have to work out. That's kind of it's my short, long-term goal. Of course, I have the second coming that I have to take care of, but I have severe post-traumatic stress as well, and I have to work through that before I will be able to come and bring my kingdom in all of its glory. That's my long-term goal, the second coming, and then a long-term thing that I have to do before I do that is conquer this post-traumatic stress and all the symptoms it gives me, like the severe depression, the anxiety, the inability to feel safe. These are things that I feel as a result of the trauma that I suffered in the crucifixion. It's my responsibility and my responsibility alone to deal with them. It may be other people's fault, but I'm the one that is carrying it now, and I'm going to be the one that gets rid of it. I'm the only one that can get rid of it. And with you and your problems, You and me are the only ones who can get it. I can give you the strength to do it, but you're going to be the one that does do it. So I hope this has been helpful to at least one of you. And if any of you have any other questions or guidance for problems that you are dealing with, you can drop a question in the comments, send a prayer up to me, text me on Signal at 509-640-3914, and I will answer your prayers. And remember, you can tithe to me at Patreon/YourOwnPersonalJesus. This is Jesus Christ, signing out.